By now, you're all visiting your chiropractor. Along with your regular adjustments, your diet and nutrition is extremely important. We want to get you on the right path to a healthy lifestyle. But with all the information out there, it is confusing. There's a lot of information on the products you eat. So what we did is we brought Tom Gundrum to us from Topline Foods to help explain all this information. It's confusing. It is very confusing, Tom. We want to put our family on the right path to a healthy lifestyle. We want them to eat the right foods. I want to eat the right foods. So what do? I mean, you've got all this labeling, you've got all this information, and want to make sure we get the right foods. Where do we start?
You know, I think the starting point is probably whether or not the product is natural or artificial.
Ah, there you go.
It sounds simple, doesn't it?
Sure. Sounds like it.
Then you start looking at some of the labeling, and I think that's another key point is don't just look at the front of the product. You know, we can start
that's what sells us.
Well, and a lot of the companies will do a great job in terms of
do.
marketing. But what you'll see now is contains no high fructose corn syrup, naturally and artificially flavored.
Artificial, there's that word you were talking about.
On the front of the box, then you turn it to the side and actually start reading some of the ingredients. You probably can't pronounce some of those words.
There's a couple in there. Potassium sorbate, that's a preservative. Natural flavor, got some brown sugar and caramel color. And, ooh, wow, I can't pronounce some of those.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I can't pronounce it, it sounds chemical, doesn't sound natural, shouldn't have it.
Well, and a lot of the kids' cereals actually do that to us.
One we all grew up with.
That's it, my favorite, Fruit Loops.
Oh yeah, it was.
And,
I loved it.
You know, it looks great, and it says natural fruit flavors, but the colors and the dyes that they use are, in many cases, artificial. And there's alternatives now in many of the grocery stores that can provide more of a natural vegetable dye, per se.
That's good.
And ingredients are a little bit more healthy. So you want to look not just at the front, Kelly, but definitely start reading some of the ingredients on the side.
And sugar. They have a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
No trans fats on this one. All right, sounds good. Another product everybody has used, pretty much everyone has used in their life, is a ketchup. Explain the difference between the ketchup here and what we need to look for. For example, I grew up with it, just like Fruit Loops, Heinz tomato ketchup. So, all right, I think it has high fructose corn syrup. Why is high fructose corn syrup bad?
Well, you know, in and of itself, as a sweetener or a preservative, isn't that bad if you just eat a little of it.
Sure.
I think it's how much of it is in all of the foods that we get conditioned to eating it.
Okay.
High fructose corn syrup is actually a modified version of the natural product, corn syrup, which comes from corn. What they're doing is they're solidifying an oil by adding an enzyme and a heating process, which makes it unnatural, at least to me.
So basically changing something like you're saying that was natural and making it better in their eyes so it costs less.
That's correct.
The biggest thing. And here's the other one from the same company. It says organic certified. And on the back it says USDA organic. What makes it USDA organic?
Yeah, basically the organic label implies that it's been made with 100% or at least 95% certified organic ingredients, meaning that there's been no artificial chemical or pesticide that's ever been used on the product, in this case tomato, or the soil that it's grown in.
And this one says no high fructose corn syrup. All natural, 100% natural. So they're trying to get away from it, it seems like. Good. And then we have other items. For example, preservatives. You've mentioned preservatives. What preservatives do we need to worry about?
You know, there's a bunch of different preservatives and additives. On this particular one, you know, chicken breasts and gravy. Doesn't sound bad.
Sounds great.
On the very front it says no preservatives.
There we go.
Then you turn it on the side and you get things like hydrogenated soybean and corn oil.
Hydrogenated.
Yeah, that means that they're hardening the oil. And basically it's a version of the trans fat that you had mentioned that leads to coronary heart disease. Not healthy, and there's a few other items on there in terms of preservatives and additives that...
But there's no preservatives.
Well, you got to be kind of careful. I guess they're calling some of those things additives, so it qualifies as not a preservative. I don't know, Kelly. It's a little confusing.
Yeah, so hydrogenated oils. Again, taking an oil, a natural oil, because I've seen hydrogenated soybean oil, which they're telling us is good, but they're making it something different.
That's correct.
Again, they're just changing something natural. Again, why is hydrogenated oils bad? I mean, what makes it bad?
The changing of it makes it unnatural, but it actually does, in fact, the hydrogenated oils is a form of trans fat, trans fatty
it is a
acid.
form of it.
Yeah, which leads to heart disease.
Well, here's another one. It says pasta and naturally flavored sauce.
Oh my goodness, yeah. This is something that I grew up on as a kid, and it's new now though, Kelly, if you can see that.
New label.
Naturally flavored mixed sauce, but again, you turn it on the side to read some of the ingredients, and you've got, again, partially hydrogenated soybean oil. You have artificial color, yellows, numbers 5 and 6. And a bunch of other stuff, monosodium glutamate.
Ooh, I've heard about that.
More commonly known as?
MSG.
You got it, MSG, which again, there's no definitive studies that say you're going to die of cancer if you have MSG. It doesn't work like that, but it's a preservative to enhance the flavor that really isn't necessary, but some people, when they eat MSG, will suffer from a headache or dizziness or are allergic to it, etc.
Wow, a lot of information. We've also heard stuff about meats, for example. You have chicken and beef, and some are injected, and you see labeling on chicken that says no hormones. So I assume we don't want that.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
Okay.
the artificial especially are bad, but they even have some natural hormones that are injected. But in poultry, for example, the federal government, as a regulation, prohibits the use of hormones and steroids in poultry. But they still advertise it as no added hormones and steroids.
Good. Makes it look good.
Beef, on the other hand, is not regulated that way. In fact, over 80% of the cattle, the beef that's actually produced here in this country is injected with some type of a hormone or a steroid. It makes the cattle or the cow eat more of the grains or the corn that fattens them up, that provides the tenderness of the steak.
Make it less expensive, make more of it.
There you
Here's
go.
One, it's everybody, I mean, it's supposed to be healthy, a protein meal bar. People, women who are on diets, even men on diets, they go, wow, I need this because it's healthy. But partially hydrogenated oils.
Yeah.
So again, back to reading the labels.
Well, and the pictures and the labels themselves would make you think that this is a real healthy product, and it's just not that way.
Interesting.
So I would say definitely don't just look at the front of the box. Don't just read the label that's on the front. Turn it over. Read the ingredients for yourself so that you can make healthy choices.
A lot of information. What is it that you do? You're with Topline Foods. What is Topline Foods?
We started the company, Kelly, basically to provide people with an alternative to the traditional grocery store. We do all natural and organic food delivered directly to the home.
Wow, that's great. That's going to help people a lot. A lot of information. Really appreciate it. Basically, it's back to looking at the labels, not just the front. Make sure you can read every ingredient. If you can't read it, maybe you don't want it. But that's the best way to start. Put everybody on the right path to a healthy lifestyle, don't you think?
I do.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Tom. Glad you came here. Glad you gave us this information. Thanks again.